Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of XenTegra's IGEL Weekly. This is episode 55, nearing, just continuing past the halfway point, the half-century mark here. I'm joined with my former colleague, good friend, Chris Feeney from IGEL. Chris, by the way, I'm Patrick Toner. I failed to mention that. But Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. You're enjoying the ability to work from anywhere today. As you can tell, I think we're at the beach, so I'm enjoying it right now. So looking forward to the topic. Good topic today. So I'm excited.
Very, very good. Well, we're both taking advantage of the work from anywhere, technology, a little bit different reasons. You are on vacation right now. And where'd you say you were at?
Down at Hilton Head. We've been here a few times. It's a great place to come. Family vacation. We've done, 3 or 4 of these now here. And just absolutely love coming down here.
Very nice, very nice. And I'm actually, for anyone listening who's been following this saga, I'm about 2 hours south. So we finally made it to Florida. We had a little bit of a mishap in our Airbnb. So we plan to stay in Jacksonville. Our house should be move-in ready on Thursday. So we're going to go to settlement Thursday. But we had an electrical issue in our Airbnb. Middle of the night, it was like 103 degrees down here. And all the power goes out. The air conditioner goes out. I had to wrangle the 4 kids. They're freaking out because it's pitch black. And we made the decision. It's time to go to a hotel. So here we are. We're about 5 minutes down the road, working from anywhere, doing the work from anywhere thing. So
Anyway, through, man. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
All we need is a good Wi-Fi connection, and that's it. And you know what? Interestingly enough, we're talking about something regarding Wi-Fi today. Are we not?
We are. We have a great topic. Let me go ahead and share my screen out. We're going to be talking about a new blog that got released on the IGEL website, technology called 7SIGNAL. And this one was unfamiliar to me when we kind of were first talking before the podcast recording here. But Chris, if you could just give a quick overview, what is 7SIGNAL?
So they are a wireless analytics company, but they built their solution cloud first. So everything is hosted in the cloud and everything like there, but they have basically the ability to analyze and help solve problems regarding, all kinds of wireless issues that you might encounter. And that's really that their key focus is. And the nice thing about, IGEL Linux is that they do have a Linux plugin app thing that we've made into a custom partition. And you just literally, you turn that on and then you point it at this cloud environment and pull up the console, and then you can start seeing and diagnosing issues. It's a very powerful solution. They've been sponsoring our Disrupt On tours, which just wrapped up the spring, early summer sessions last week in Seattle. But we're very excited to have them on board. They've got a pretty solid solution.
Cool. So we should probably put a little bookmark in the custom partition feature. We should probably touch on that once we kind of overview this a little bit, because I think there's some. Well, first of all, we're doing a workshop coming up on it, so that's timely. But just a great feature. We should probably talk through it a little bit. But so it sounds like 7SIGNAL is completely. It sounds like it's a cloud-based solution. So the IGEL devices would report up to this cloud-based solution, and your admin would have like a browser-based, dashboard or something where they could see data. Is that right?
Yeah, and the way they display it is pretty amazing. It's easy to read, understand. Obviously, with some training, kind of get a sense of what you're looking at. But I remember, for example, early months of the pandemic, everybody was at home, and you had, kids. My wife's a teacher, so she was teaching from home. My daughter was still in high school, and she was, learning from home. My son was in college. Everybody was at home, and Wi-Fi signals were just absolutely crazy. And we kept having Wi-Fi go out or whatever. And so I actually downloaded a Linux app on my Ubuntu system, and just to see what it could tell me as far as what signals are being used right on the Wi-Fi spectrum. And I found one basically in our neighborhood, everybody had the default on. It was right in the middle, and you could see where the congestion was. So I deliberately went and I moved our Wi-Fi signal to a higher area of the spectrum, and where it didn't see too many signals there. And from what I could tell, it seemed to stabilize. But 7SIGNAL is one of those things that, can give you that, but in a nice visual ability to display and kind of see and diagnose what that is. So I wish we had a video. Maybe probably do somewhere. I need to check with my friend Ron Ware, who helped with the custom partition build of this. But it's a really cool tool, especially in areas in hospitals or poor maybe buildings that weren't built for wireless type signals. Really diagnose where those issues are. But that's what they do, and they're pretty good at it.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, when you think about, how you and I are working right now, I mean, obviously I'm in a random hotel down the street from my house. It looks like you're pretty relaxed right now, but you're at what, a beach rental? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, we are. In fact, for those that are watching, let me see if I can turn this thing around. Can you see out my porch here?
I can. Yeah, that's nice. Wow.
Yeah, so a little marsh in the background. I think the tide is on its way out, but there's wildlife and our dogs eager to go outside and explore what's going on. But yeah, we're just enjoying the time here.
So you're on the Bayside, I take it, Chris? Is that where you're at?
We're on Hilton Head Island, so this little spot here is, I wouldn't say it's a bay, but it's definitely, we're about 2 miles from the ocean where the beach club is. So
okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, kind of back to our point here. While you're lounging, admiring the marsh out there, the wildlife, just doing your work from home. It's nice as an admin when your users are doing that. Because if you called your help desk right now and said, "Hey, I can't connect to Citrix, I can't connect to VMware. All right, this is not working." Right? It's usually, that becomes the problem in the user's eyes. Hey, this thing doesn't work. Having that visibility is key, right? You as the admin, you as the help desk team, to be able to say, "Okay, well, I see your device reporting in, and you have terrible signal. You're on a 56K connection at a beach rental, right?" That's a big deal. That's a big deal for the help desk team to have that data in order to just quickly be able to just diagnose what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really, it comes down to that user experience, right? Trying to figure out where is the hiccup. Case in point, we were on our way down yesterday, and my daughter got a phone call, and to me, it was a scam. Somebody said, "This is Amazon. If you did not authorize a purchase of a MacBook Pro or something like that, please press 1." And I was driving, and I was like, "Uh-oh." And so we got on the phone. I was sitting there driving, and I was trying to walk her through the app. And I was like, "All right, see if you can get a hold of customer service." And when she did pull it up, it said, "Sorry, there's some trouble going on right now." Now, what was that issue? Was, Amazon's data center down? Was it just a sheer volume of calls? Whatever. But they were at least able to let the user know, "Hey, something's going on. Now's not probably a good time to try to reach us." And really trying to figure out, like, all right, if I'm sitting here and I'm at this beach rental, and yesterday, for example, I noticed it's, once the kids got on Wi-Fi, things began to slow down a little bit. So I was like, all right, maybe it's not the greatest Wi-Fi. I haven't really checked out what type of powerful signal we have here, but you could kind of tell they're streaming videos or whatever like that. You might have a little poor performance, but yeah, without a tool really help understand what that is, you could be guessing. It could be, I'll never forget, I was doing an early project years ago, and they were saying, "Hey, we noticed every time the mowers are out, that our signals just are going haywire." And what it ended up being is they had copper wires connecting these buildings, but they were they weren't dug deep. And so when the metal magneto, I guess, of the mower blades would go over, it would cause disturbance with the electrical signal. and so then ultimately they switched to a Wi-Fi connectivity or something like that. But they just happened to notice, because those cables connecting the building were buried like maybe 2 inches deep or something. It was getting impact like that. I mean, just weird stuff like that can impact your networking capability. But having a tool to be able to help you understand, where is that problem? Is it definitely on the endpoint? Is it somewhere in the signal itself? Or is it you're sipping coffee and you're 100,000 feet away from your access point? that's the kind of, I mean, crazy examples, but that's what a tool like 7SIGNAL can help you understand.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, there's other tools too. I mean, you think of control up, you think of liquidware. It just comes down to visibility, right? It comes down to
Right.
being able to just see what's going on. You talk about a scam, kind of the whole thing starting there. Usually a scam is the same issue. You don't really have full visibility of who's talking to you. It's like Michael Scott says, when the crown prince of Nigeria calls you directly, you don't ask questions, right? But we should not take that approach. But we need to, when there's an issue, when there's something weird going on, you need to have data to be able to back up, to be able to fix it, right? To be able to tell your user, hey, you have a poor network, or hey, your CPU utilization is just through the roof whenever you run Teams or whatever, right? It's just being able to diagnose it and and then fix the problem, or at least have a data to say, hey, look, it's just not going to work where you're at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a huge, ever growing need. As we get more and more remote, we get more and more work from anywhere. Really, the stuff that IGEL's been promoting, for years, it's pretty amazing. You mentioned earlier when, like how things were. I was thinking as you were talking. So I started in IT running network cable. That was my first job in technology. I've run Cat5 cable. I learned to, punch down all the ends, and then I was rolling out thin clients. I was rolling out Dell-wise thin clients, connecting to Citrix. And it was for, 14 years ago, that was pretty amazing, right? That was pretty cutting edge to be, but you would have never done it over Wi-Fi. You would have never, ever, relied on Wi-Fi back in those days, because the technology was it just wasn't there. And then you fast forward to today, wireless technology is pretty amazing. How
It is.
reliable it is. How it's just come a long way.
Oh yeah, my just listening to you talk there, my first really truly wireless networking project was the company I was working for had a contract with this hospitality group that owned a bunch of like Hampton Inns, some Residence Inns, various types of brands. And this was maybe before these brands really became branded. Like Hampton Inn went through a phase where everything was the same branded, and Marriott went through a similar thing. But before that, the hospitality owners would say, hey, wireless or networking or, internet access is something we need, high-speed internet access. So we were big with Cisco. And so we went with Cisco gear, and I was intimately involved with setting up some of these Cisco access points, but, trying to implement this and then figure out with the wireless antennas, the best way to put these things. And, and I remember, just trying to figure out, do I have it enough coverage? Do we, all these little tools, and the tools back then weren't that great to really help you understand if you were covering, a section of the floor or the entire floor or 4 floors or overpowering it. So I can guarantee you, at least there may still be some wireless access networks out there at some of these hotels that are up and running because the Wi-Fi was just turned way up. Maybe they've been replaced by now, but yeah, I would say it was not my complete best work, but it was early years, and we ended up getting it done. But yeah, it was I was letting go, man, if this works, this has been amazing. But now it just, wherever you go, I mean, where you're sitting right now, you don't even think twice about it. It generally works totally fine. You got plenty of speed. I know like a hotel points person usually get like that extra level. If you're like a gold or whatever level, you get that higher speed kind of thing. But I've noticed even on the lower ones, it still is enough to get what I needed to get done. So
that's assuming we're actually getting more. That's that's just
you're getting 11. You're getting that Spinal Tap 11. Turn it up.
Boost it up. It just makes me feel better that they tell me it's faster. That's what it is.
That's right. That's really totally all it is. It's you pay $5 extra.
Right. But anyway, so yeah, it's really come a long way. I mean, that's the point, and really why we need technologies like this, right? We need technologies like 7SIGNAL and other ones out there, Control Up, Liquidware, that have their tools as well. Really, really important to have that in your stack. If you don't have it, definitely reach out to us because you really need it. And we could give you story after story of customers finding that out the hard way. But anyway, so you mentioned, Chris, earlier, 7SIGNAL today, and this is, pretty common when it comes to IGEL ready partnerships. They always start out as a custom partition, and then they eventually get integrated with customer demand. So is 7SIGNAL, to your knowledge, that's still a custom partition today? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, very cool. And for anyone who doesn't know, a custom partition in IGEL language, what it really does, and by the way, shameless plug here, Chris and I will be doing a workshop on, let me get the date, it's in July.
July 28th, I believe. Is that right?
July 28th, Thursday, July 28th. You can sign up at XenTegra.com, go to workshops. But yeah, we'll be doing a deep dive with IGEL custom partitions. We'll have Ron Nair joining us, who some know as the godfather of custom partitions around the IGEL community. He's done some really good work. But we're going to talk about it. And it's really a great feature because what custom partition does is allows you to take an application that's any Linux application that's living out there, or almost every, we'll put that little caveat in there, almost every Linux application that's out there. And you can package it up and deploy it to IGEL and run it. So, for example, there's applications out there. A lot of people may not realize this. Microsoft actually has a Linux version of Microsoft Edge and Microsoft Teams, and they can run locally on a Linux device. So IGEL does not have those built in by default. IGEL is a read-only sandboxed OS, so only what's built in is what's there. But what you can do is package them up and deploy them, and you can actually run IGEL OS and use Microsoft Edge as your browser. You can locally run Microsoft Teams without entering into a VDI environment. So it's a really cool feature. Actually, we use that internally here at XenTegra. So this week, actually, was I think literally a few days ago, Andy was asking me if he could get local versions of Zoom and Teams. I was able to go to igelcommunity.com, run the scripts that Ron has. You need a Linux VM to do it, or a Linux machine to do it. I ran the scripts. It gives me the updated version of Zoom, updated version of Teams, and I deployed it out. I probably had it done in about 20, 30 minutes, start to finish. So it's really a powerful tool and a great way to just push whatever applications you want to your Linux OS, to IGEL.
Yeah, and Ron, he and I maintain our own Azure instance of UMS and ICG, and he keeps track of when the latest Edge and Teams and Zoom are available. He also keeps he has WebEx, for example, because got to sometimes use that, and having it locally sometimes makes sense. But yeah, frequently just say. And what's really cool is I'll take my my LG laptop out here, my Gram, and I'll have my UD Pocket plugged in. As soon as it hits a Wi-Fi connection, if there's an updated custom partition, it picks it up immediately, and you just see it go through and it updates. I'll take Zoom or Edge, for example, and literally just maybe a minute or so, and then it's done, and away we go. But yeah, having that, I would say Edge, I love it. That's a great browser. You can run all of Office, including Teams. I've done Teams without the Teams custom partition, just use Edge and run Teams calls. And it's a great user experience with that browser. But having Zoom locally is pretty cool. I think last week, maybe we talked about Lars had done, if you wanted to have the custom virtual background, there's a little workaround, little script you could do. So just some really cool stuff you can do with these things.
Yeah, it really is amazing. Because there's also a knowledge base on, if you go to kb.igel.com, you can it'll show you how to actually do it from scratch, right? You can package one of these applications, but what Ron's done here is pretty awesome. You can go in if you want, for example, Google Chrome is here, and you have Microsoft Edge. IGEL by default has Firefox and Chromium built in, but if I wanted one of these browsers, basically he has a little script I run.
The key thing what he's done is figuring out what dependencies do you need besides what might already be on the operating system. So there's some applications that might have a dependency for something, and he figures out in his script, you can look at how he goes and grabs the core install files. But if there's some other dependency that's needed, it'll go out there, grab it, pull it down, and then begin packaging it all up. So you can literally walk through that process, or just literally let that script run and do its thing, and it goes through, it builds it, and puts it into a format that allows it to be able to get installed on IGEL. Ron's he's amazing how he's done that. He loves this stuff, and I'm happy to have him on my team.
Oh yeah, very sharp guy. And for anyone who can see the screen here, all these Linux commands. The beauty of what Ron's done here is you don't need to know any of it. You probably need to know as basic amount of Linux as possible to package one of these up. You just have to download a file and be able to learn how to run the command. And it just packages up in a file, in a zip file, and then you just deploy it. So really cool. We'll obviously be going way deeper into that on the 28th. We'll probably build a couple on that workshop real time, show how it works. So if that's something, if you're listening to this and that interests you, that's going to be a great workshop to attend. And, when you look through these, these are obviously the browsers, but there's a whole repository here of different applications. So if I go to apps, just on and on, just so many cool apps that, it's worth taking a poke over there. If you don't know, even something like Spotify, I don't know if your admins are going to necessarily want you running Spotify, but, I guess someone had a business case at some point.
You see the one underneath that? Steam.
Oh
for
my
gamers.
Yeah, so if you want to actually, that's a good test maybe for the workshop. Let's see if we can play a video game on an IGEL in real time. That would be
yeah. I want to say Ron's definitely done that, but we were playing around. So LG has this really cool project we were working on, an e-sports thing, which is basically gaming. And we showed them that, hey, we could actually run Steam and stream these I'm not a gamer, right? So honestly, I spent all my gaming days back in the Nintendo early years. So all those brain cells have already kind of been, used up. So and the controller.
Back in the days when all of our dads told us video games will never get you anywhere in life. Now there's people earning millions of dollars playing video games.
Yeah, who'd have thunk, right?
Seriously.
Right. But man, I just wish I could come up with something like as funny as Gary Larson's Far Side. That would have made, but anyway. But yeah, but they have these tournaments and part of that was showing off that you could run these games literally from an IGEL with a nice endpoint. Obviously, you need to have a good endpoint, but yeah, there's all kinds of stuff here. And, who knows, it may set the stage for the upcoming OS 12 App Store. I just owe Apple some money on that one. Sorry. App Portal. Can't call it an App Store.
If any Apple employees are listening right now, you're definitely in trouble.
That's right. We did not. It's not what it's going to be. It's called the App Portal.
So, Chris, are you at liberty to speak of how the approach will change in OS 12, or is it too early? I don't know. I don't know what's...
Well, yeah. No, I think at this point, it's basically going to be very similar to your phone. You get a base operating system for your phone, maybe some built-in apps. So for us, it might, obviously a terminal, maybe an SSH thing or whatever like that, just basic function that. But if you're talking about like other apps that are normally built in today and included, that would be the Citrix workspace, Horizon, Linux app, things like that, a browser. All of that will be available through this thing in OS 12 called the App Portal, and you will just grab and pull down what you want. And therefore, going forward, the operating system can get updated separately, and the apps can be updated separately. It's not all at once, for example, like it is today with OS 11. So, and it's a lighter, less full operating system in the sense that it's not like maybe it won't be as, today, maybe I think or with all the clients that are often included. For example, we have Citrix, 3 versions of that. We've got the Horizon, we've got Amazon, we've got a PCOIP client, we've got what am I missing? Browsers. It all that begins to add up, and in our release notes, you can actually see how big are those applications taking up, and so. Going forward, it'll be an operating system with the apps stripped out, and then you add in the apps that you want, like the ABD client or something like that. So that's the approach. It'll be kind of like the custom partition is today. There'll have to be a way for those apps to be built in such a way that they can be installed in our read-only OS. But the custom partition feature is, I would say, sort of going to be the grandfather or the mothership or whatever idea, if you know what I mean. Whatever, pick your
Predecessor.
yeah, exactly. Predecessor. There you go. That's a good word. That's a Scrabble word, man. Good job.
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, so basically today, right? IGEL OS 11, everything is just packaged in there. And back when we started IGEL, Chris, was the one that we'd always tell people it's less than 2 gigs, and it was maybe like 1.7 or 1.8, and then it's just over time crept up, right? These applications are bigger. You look at something like Zoom VDI, you need more versions included, and so the OS has gotten more bigger. It's still not a big OS. It's still about 2.5 gigs roughly. Which is still very small compared to other operating systems out there. But OS 12, do you know the size of, like, if you just installed OS 12 with 0 apps installed, do you know what the size is?
That's a good question. I actually built an OS creator stick for it. I want to say it's under 2 gigs, but I need to go back and check on that, because it was definitely much faster when it installed, but it's been about a month and a half since I've touched it. I kind of installed it on a what did I put it on? I think I imaged the UD Pocket or something like that, but it didn't take up much space on it. So
I'd imagine it's got to be a really light, image with everything out of it. So it's gonna be big. I mean,
yeah, you could tell. I mean, I went into like the local setup after I installed it with no apps on it. I looked and see what was there. It was definitely stripped down, that's for sure. So, but yeah, you'll just, once it registers, it's just a matter of just like you do it normally, unless you get it into a place of either a staging area or where it's going to permanently reside, and then you just like profiles, you put the apps in there, and it begins adding those things on. And in a similar fashion, when we do our custom partition workshop, you'll see, you just kind of add these custom partition apps essentially to the directory that you're going to install it on, and those things begin to install. And next thing you know, there's icons on the desktop or in the start menu, whatever it looks like it's natively installed. So it's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Well, I think we should probably maybe just recap and wrap up here, Chris. Just kind of the original thing. 7SIGNAL, check it out. If you're going to be, obviously they're sponsoring a lot of IGEL Disrupt on tours, so we should probably plug that. You guys are kind of through them almost. It's really not that many left. So it looks like there's 5 left in North America.
That's right.
Which is pretty wild. So you got in September, you have New York City, Canada, Toronto, Canada, Vancouver. Those will be Michael Berman's stomping grounds. And then October 6th in Houston, October 20th in Nashville. And I guess that's a wrap. So if you're listening and you're near one of those cities, that's your opportunity to get out, maybe see some of these technologies. XenTegra will have a big presence in all of them, and have throughout all of the different disrupts. So yeah, get out and check that out. But and also, again, just to recap, if you want to learn more about custom partition, July 28th, Chris and I with Ron will be going deep. We'll walk through it. It'll be an awesome opportunity to learn about custom partitions, ask questions, ask someone like Ron about how he's doing it. It's just going to be a great opportunity to learn. So looking forward to those. Chris, any other thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, I hope your move-in goes well. Coming up just a few days away from now, right? So
2 days, and trust me, it's not like I'm counting down the minutes or anything, but 2 days. Our
Awesome.
life has been in flux for 6 weeks, so we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Looking forward to the workshop here in a few weeks. So other than that, everybody have a great holiday, July 4th holiday, and happy Independence Day for those that live in America.
There you go. And to our Canadian listeners, just have a nice weekend. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Have a great July 4th. Take care.
All right. Take care.